Oh dear. Oh, maybe it's downstairs. I've lost the kids' talk. I don't know where it is. Oh, maybe someone in here can help. Is anyone here? Has anyone seen the kids' talk anywhere? I've lost it and I can't find it. Maybe it's in the kitchen. Let's have a look. Anything here? No, it's not in here. Oh, let's go back upstairs. It's got to be up there somewhere. Well, I know. What about my office? Let's have a look. It's got to be here somewhere. Where could it be? Here in the bookshelf? No, not there. Sunday school room. Yeah, it must be here. What's that doing there? Anyway, go. No, not here. Oh, watch out for the chair. Where could it be? Oh, been looking everywhere. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Woo! Found it. Oh, hey, that reminds me. I think it's time for the kids' talk.
Yes, that's right. It is time for the kids' talk, and so we're going to carry on with the story of Moses. So remember, God told Moses to go to the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, and tell him to let God's people go. But you know what? Pharaoh refused to let the Hebrew slaves go. So God said he would send plagues on Egypt. God told Moses and Aaron to go down to the river Nile where Pharaoh went in the morning. Aaron struck the river Nile with his staff, and the water was changed to blood. Fish died, the Egyptians could not drink the water, and the river smelt really, really bad. And Pharaoh's magicians did the same thing by their secret arts, and so Pharaoh refused to obey God and turned and went back to the palace. Well, 7 days later, God told Moses to tell Aaron to stretch his staff over the streams, the canals, and the ponds to make frogs come out onto the land. Pray to your God to take away the frogs from my people, and I will let you go, promised Pharaoh. But when Moses prayed and the frogs died, Pharaoh did not keep his promise to let the Hebrew slaves go. So God told Moses to tell Aaron to strike the dust with his staff, and the dust would become gnats, and the gnats swarmed on people and animals everywhere, and Pharaoh still had a hard heart and refused to let the Hebrews go and worship God. Next, dense swarms of flies buzzed around the Egyptians, but not the Hebrew slaves living in Goshen. Pharaoh begged Moses to pray to God to stop the plague. Moses prayed, and the flies left. But Pharaoh went back on his promise and refused to free God's people. Moses went to Pharaoh again. He said, "If you refuse to let God's people go, tomorrow God will bring a terrible plague on your horses, your donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, every animal you have. But you know what? The animals of God's people will be spared." And that's what happened. But Pharaoh still refused to release the slaves. And so Moses took soot from a furnace and threw it into the air in front of Pharaoh. God says this soot will become a fine dust, and people and animals will get festering boils. Well, Pharaoh's magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils that broke out on them and the Egyptians. Ouch. But guess what happened? You guessed it. Pharaoh still refused to let God's people go. And next, God sent a ferocious hailstorm. Lightning filled the skies and large hailstones came pounding down, and those caught outside were killed. But the storm did not hit the slaves living in Goshen. "I have sinned. The Lord is right," Pharaoh finally admitted to Moses. "I will let you go." But when God stopped the storm, Pharaoh changed his mind yet again. And so Moses raised his staff over Egypt, and an east wind blew all night, bringing a huge swarm of locusts. They covered the ground, making it look black, and ate everything growing in the fields until nothing green remained on any plant at all. And so Pharaoh begged Moses to pray and stop the plague of locusts, and then he would free the slaves. Moses prayed, and the winds changed direction, and the whole swarm of locusts went into the Red Sea. But once more, Pharaoh changed his mind. So Moses stretched out his hands, and total darkness came over the land for 3 days. Only in Goshen, where the Hebrew slaves lived, was there light. And Pharaoh summoned Moses. Go and worship God. Take your women and children as well, but you must leave your animals behind here. Our animals must travel with us, insisted Moses. Someone needed to offer sacrifices to God. Get out of my sight, ordered Pharaoh. Don't ever appear before me again. If you do, you will die. Just as you say, replied Moses. I won't appear before you again. But God has one more plague to send. But of course, the story doesn't end there. And we're going to find out more about what this last plague was about next week. But for today, let's just think about what we've learned. God sent these 9 plagues to teach Pharaoh a lesson. But Pharaoh kept saying, you know what? I'm not listening to you, God. And there's an important warning here in this message. You know, if God says to us, this is what I want you to do, and we keep saying, nope, I'm not doing that, then eventually God might say, well, that's it then. You do it your own way. I'm going to leave you to it. That's what happens if we turn away from God. But of course, there's the option to turn to God, to listen to him, and to say, God, yes, of course you know what's best for me. Yes, what I'm going to do might be hard, but I trust you. So let's not be like Pharaoh. Let's be like Jesus. In fact, more than that, let's trust that Jesus did everything perfectly. He obeyed his Father perfectly so that we can do the same. It is through the strength of Jesus that we can listen to God and do what he said.